Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says Trump's first year has been a failure, while Illinois Attorney General Raoul discusses prosecuting fraud. It is Illinois in Focus with the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop here with the Center Square to break things down for what's going on in Illinois, and be sure to go to the website, thecentersquare.com, where you can sign up for the latest headlines, not just from Illinois, where you can get the newsletter, but also national news. And a whole bunch going on, of course, with the Trump administration 2.0 and now his second year of that 4-year term. So a lot to have said about that, and we'll hear what Governor J.B. Pritzker has to say. But we'll also hear a little bit of what Attorney General Raoul has to say about prosecuting fraud, doing some investigating on the use of welfare dollars and investigations into overpayments in a variety of areas, from the child care program in Illinois that's using federal tax funds to TANF and SNAP and so on. So something that we'll be delving into here in a bit, but obviously with Illinois in Focus Daily, you can track some of the stories that we don't get to immediately. You can find those at thecentersquare.com and also the Illinois page. So go make that happen here with Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, so stay tuned. We'll hear some of what President Donald Trump says are his major accomplishments in his first year of a second non-consecutive term, and some of what Governor J.B. Pritzker had to say, as well as some local elected officials about public safety and more. So stay tuned. It's right here with Illinois in Focus Daily, each and every weekday morning with you. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and, be with us here. And if you can't catch the live show, catch the restream and any of the segments that we post as well. All right, so get to thecentersquare.com for more.
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months, and I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far.
It's President Donald Trump yesterday celebrating 1 year in office for his second non-consecutive term, and we've got reaction from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, but also some continued discussion about some issues around immigration enforcement and even public safety, with things like the end of cash bail in Illinois. Welcome back. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you're watching the segments after the live show, keep in mind we do have that live show that happens, and you can catch the podcast afterwards in its entirety uninterrupted, but you can also catch these segments as well. All right, so let's get to it. Yesterday, President Donald Trump seemed to surprise everybody when the White House press briefing was scheduled for, I think, 10:30 our time, and then it turned into 11:30 our time, and then instead of the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt coming out, President Donald Trump came out, had a big binder, and he flipped through it and even threw it at one point, saying that was his year of accomplishments. And he was asked, after speaking for well over an hour without taking questions, he was asked about what he's going to be presenting to world leaders in Davos, Switzerland this week.
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months, and I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead.
So the president saying that he's had a lot of accomplishments, and he listed everything from, closing the border to firing a bunch of unnecessary bureaucrats to addressing trade, and he talked about ending 8 wars and bringing down inflation and a whole host of other things. If you go to some of the White House's various social media accounts, you'll be able to find graphs that depict exactly what the president says are his chief successes. But obviously, there's been a lot of loggerheads between the Trump administration and Democratic governors like Governor J.B. Pritzker. I mean, the past year, we can go through and find all of the insults that were flung back and forth. We could go back and look at all the court cases that were brought forward. I think Illinois is part of like 50 some odd cases against the Trump administration, and the Trump administration has lawsuits against the state of Illinois. But Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday held a roundtable discussion about all the things that the Trump administration's impacting Illinois with policy. And afterwards, he took questions and was asked about the president heralding his first year as success. Trump obviously likes to, pat himself on the back quite a bit. But Pritzker says that Trump has not been successful in his first year.
Well, he's calling a win taking people's SNAP benefits away. He's calling a win shutting down health care that people rely upon. He's calling a win making things more expensive with tariffs. So what I can say is it's been failure after failure. 365 is a nice number. It's probably not even close to the number of failures that Donald Trump has had, especially when it comes to fighting for the middle class and the working class and the most vulnerable in our country.
Pritzker clearly still very much critical of President Donald Trump. And another issue that Trump championed was immigration and closing the border, virtually no people crossing the border illegally, and also the deportations that are happening. But obviously with the use of immigration customs enforcement in Democrat-run states that have migrant sanctuary policies, you've seen some video that's alarmed people of federal agents using aggressive tactics and targeted enforcement, but also running up against protesters in the streets. And it gets pretty violent at times. And the increased number of attacks on ICE that Homeland Security says is happening. Pritzker says that the whole situation he's very critical of.
What I'm deeply concerned about is the amount of money that's now being put into ICE, and how ICE has become this kind of, they're wearing masks, they're driving unlicensed cars, unidentifiable anyway. They don't identify themselves. It's like a secret police. And it's being hyper-funded by Donald Trump. So it's as if he's got a secret police now of now what's going to turn to tens of thousands more. And I know that he wants to use this to disrupt the elections in 2026.
So we've heard that before from the governor saying that Trump wants a police force to police the election in 2026. So that's November. We've got a primary election in Illinois, March 17th, but we'll discuss that in another segment down the line here. But clearly, Pritzker, again, using secret police rhetoric. He's shared things on social media about how, the first year of the Trump administration is reminiscent of what was happening in Germany before World War II, and we've heard those comparisons before in the past from Governor J.B. Pritzker. And we've heard criticisms from others, social media influencers and such, saying that, like Don Lemon, for instance, he says that it's white supremacy that's driving immigration enforcement. And President Donald Trump says that doesn't make much sense, as the majority of ICE officers, according to the president, are Hispanic.
I love the Hispanic. And they accuse us of all sorts of things. 60% of the people we're talking about, they're the best people we have, and they're Hispanic. The Border Patrol is largely Hispanic. ICE is largely Hispanic. They're unbelievable people. I don't know how they can take the abuse. They're taking rough people like this, like all of them.
And
we have
And he says that they're deporting these individuals, they're arresting these individuals, but they have to go up in the face of protesters who are impeding upon enforcement of federal immigration law. Something else President Donald Trump listed in his accomplishments was his efforts to go after jurisdictions that have no cash bail.
We began the process of eliminating the cashless bail. Well, cashless bail is where it all started. It's a disaster. And then other places. So if somebody comes in, murders somebody, and they let them out, no bail, no nothing. Basically, cashless bail means you just get the hell out. And they go outside. We have one case where a guy murders somebody, gets released, and goes out and murders somebody. 2 people in one day. No, we got to get rid of cashless bail. They got to pay, got to have bail. There's a reason for bail, long tested.
And the administration having an executive order several months ago saying that they were going to withhold federal funds from jurisdictions with no cash bail. Now, Illinois is the first state to end cash bail statewide. That was all part of the Safety Act, if you recall, back in January of 2021, I believe, is when they passed it. And then you had the Pretrial Fairness Act as part of that, litigation against it. You had state's attorneys from across the state sue, blocked the implementation of it until the Illinois Supreme Court dealt with it and then ultimately implemented it in September of 2023. J.B. Pritzker, governor, who signed the legislation, he heralds it as something that's great to help keep communities safe, he says. Now, Republicans have long said that the Pretrial Fairness Act needs to be reversed and they need to bring back cash bail so that judges can have more discretion and such. Well, Republicans now, at least several at the State House, they are pushing for just some tweaks to Illinois' no cash bail system. State Representative Mike Coffey, standing alongside the Sangamon County State's Attorney and the Sangamon County Sheriff yesterday, saying that some of these tweaks can make communities safer. Here is Sangamon County State's Attorney John Milhiser.
I spend every day trying to keep our community safe, and the Safety Act has made it more dangerous. But we're not talking about a complete overhaul of the Safety Act. We're talking about tweaks to make our communities more safe. And that major tweak is to give judges more discretion to detain individuals. All felonies should be detainable. They are not. So I think that's a big first step to making our communities more safe. And again, it's not a throwing everything out, bringing back cash bail. We don't need to do it. We just need to make sure and ensure that in our communities, those individuals that are causing crime, that are making it more dangerous, are detained, and the judges have the discretion to detain them. And
Milhiser, obviously a state's attorney. He was previously state's attorney of Sangamon County, and then I believe he was a U.S. attorney under the first Trump administration, and then ultimately cycled back around to becoming the state's attorney elected. And Paul Crouch, she is the Sangamon County sheriff. She says that this is a real issue when it comes to holding people accountable in crimes that they commit or allegedly committed, and should they be held behind bars? She says that there seems to be a revolving door thanks to the Pretrial Fairness Act.
One thing that we notice is we have a lot of repeat offenders coming back into our jails. And why is that? It's because there's no accountability. There's no accountability for the crimes that they're committing because they can commit a crime. They either are not detained or in some cases, they don't even make it to the jail. They're issued a citation with a court notice to come in. And what our jail is seeing, although some crimes may be down, the same person is coming into the jail repeatedly, sometimes day after day after day for committing the same types of crimes. And that is increasing.
And Crouch also talked about the types of felonies that seem to have people walking out of jail doors.
Many people may not realize retail thefts are felonies in some cases, but an offender can go into a store, they commit this theft, they come to our jail, and then they're immediately released, only for our jail to see that same person come back again in the next couple days for, again, a retail theft.
So you're hearing some of the Sangamon County elected officials who are Concerned about the Safety Act, the Pretrial Fairness Act, saying that there should be some tweaks to ensure that public safety is paramount. But again, we're talking in the context of the first year of the Trump administration, the various policies that he has advanced when it comes to border protection. He says he's bringing down the cost of energy, and inflation is tame now, according to the Trump administration. The trade deals, the tariff deals, the foreign policy issues, the domestic issues about immigration and enforcement and border enforcement, while the governor of Illinois saying that Trump has failed, and it's been failure after failure after failure, Pritzker says. But Pritzker's got his own critics here in Illinois. State Representative Brad Halbrook critical of Democrats and the governor seeming to want to do more tax increases despite a history of what he says is failure in the state of Illinois.
Illinois taxpayers should buckle up because they're about to pay for another round of bad decisions. We know this playbook: borrow money, raise taxes, promise reform, and raise taxes again, then come back for more. But what has all of this gotten us? Record outmigration, empty storefronts, a shrinking middle class.
So Halbrook on the House floor yesterday here in Illinois, making those comments. By the way, the State House is back today. A whole bunch of activities going to be going on. And if you want to stay published, if you want to stay posted of what's happening, be sure to get to thecentersquare.com, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and wake up with us here for Illinois in Focus Daily. But you can also get that newsletter each and every morning in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. Established provider overpayments in Illinois for certain welfare programs, $55.7 million in fiscal year 25. And that's an indication of problems within the administration of these welfare funds in the land of Lincoln. Welcome in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for the latest with The Center Square. And you can get headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. Just sign up for the newsletter. Been trying to get information from the Illinois Department of Health and Family Services about the amount of overpayments that there have been over the past 5 fiscal years, just to get a sense of what Illinois is looking at with all of the talk about Minnesota fraud in the child care system. So I want to share some stuff with you because just give you a little bit of a behind the scenes of sorts as to how I'm going about trying to get this information. So I put a FOIA request in to the Illinois Department of Health and Family Services, and I'm going to pull this document up. These are my notes, just copied from my email, and this is the response that I got after putting in my Freedom of Information Act request January 2nd. You can read here. It says, Dear Greg Bishop, this correspondence is in response to your FOIA request for public records pursuant to FOIA, which the Illinois Department of Human Services received on January 2nd. Your request seeks to have the following. Through the Freedom of Information Act, I request the Illinois Department of Human Services Division of Early Childhood on all instances of the detection, prevention, reduction, and identification of intentional program violations or fraud by parents or other relative recipients of child care benefits and child care producers for the previous 5 fiscal years, including year to date for fiscal year 2026. All instances instances of the Division of Early Childhood finding fraud, where recovery of improper payments, sanctions, and or criminal prosecutions should include monetary amounts recovered and other sanctions imposed. Please be advised, the FOIA officer, and I think I earlier said Department of Health and Family Services, this is Illinois Department of Human Services, so please be advised that the IDHS Division of Early Childhood received reports of suspected intentional program violation from a variety of sources. Regardless of the source, IDHS DEC investigates, tracks, and processes the reports as an overpayment in the child care management system. While reviewing the overpayment file, IDHS DEC staff and or child care resources and referral agencies may note concerns about intentional program violation or fraud in the case notes or on the overpayment referral form. However, there is no method to independently track which overpayments are intentional or unintentional in CCMS. If IDHS-DEC has sufficient information to determine that an overpayment is warranted, IDHS-DEC will process the overpayment, issue a demand letter to the provider, and refer the case to the IDHS Bureau of Collections to recover the funds. According to IDHS-DEC, there were 1,004 overpayments cases that were referred to the Bureau of Collections during the time frame identified in your request. So 1,004 instances of overpayments from the past 5 fiscal years, including all of up to fiscal year 2026 in the current day. In order to process your request as written, the department would have to manually review the case notes in CCMS for 1,004 overpayment files to determine which ones involved intentional program violations or fraud. Even if this review only took 10 minutes per file, the department would have to spend at least 167 hours conducting the search for responsive records, which would place an undue burden on the operations of the department. Accordingly, the department considers the request as written unduly burdensome. You may wish to narrow this portion of your request, which I did yesterday, only looking for the past fiscal year 2025. And it also goes on to talk a bit more about the process. Even if the process was not unduly burdensome, the department would have to create a new record to satisfy this portion of the request. As previously mentioned, IDHS-DEC does not independently track which overpayment referrals are the result of intentional program violation or fraud and which ones are unintentional. It's interesting how they don't track which ones were fraud and which ones were unintentional when they just compile these documents. The department cannot run a query or otherwise generate a report from a database that isolates only referrals that deal with suspected intentional program violation or fraud. Instead, the department would have to manually review each file and compile a new list of referrals that met the criteria outlined in the request, which would constitute of creating a new record. And they say that by law they don't have to do that. Lastly, please note that there are circumstances in which IDHS-DEC will refer allegations of child care benefit fraud to the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services, OEIG. You've got specifically IDHS-DEC referring allegations to the OIG when they are unable to determine if a program violation is intentional without further investigation. In these cases, the OIG Inspector General is responsible for investigating the child care benefit fraud referral and determining whether the allegation is substantiated or unsubstantiated. For more information about this, visit that website. Records related to these could be found through FOIA. So I did put another FOIA request in, and we'll see just how long it takes, but it was January 2nd when I put that initial request in, and I didn't get the response until late Friday. So what's going on here? After looking around a bit more at various areas of the state's websites, and in particular the Office of Inspector General for DHS rather, you come across their 2025 annual report. And if you look at the annual report, it shows you some of the issues that they raise here, outcomes of investigations completed. And this isn't just for child care cases. This is for all kinds of cases. Medicaid cases, for instance. So outcomes of investigations completed, provider cases 226, Medicaid cases 220, 6 child care cases. 3 of them were substantiated. So these are, improper payments of these dollars, fraudulent, either way, overpayments that were incorrect and not supposed to happen. So 3 of the 6 child care cases in fiscal year 2025 were founded. But here's what's interesting. Established provider overpayments, 55.8 $55.7 million. And client overpayments, you've got 316,000, child care program cases, 191,000, SNAP overpayments, 125,000. So you've got these different types of line items here on just how much overpayments there has been. Now, yesterday, Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul was holding a news conference about the issue of suing the Trump administration 50 times, and our reporter from the Center Square, Jim Talamonte, was there to ask Attorney General Raoul about these cases, because it's not just from fiscal year 2025 where you have estimated provider overpayments of $55.7 million listed by the OEIG. In the 2024 report, we'll just go to quick search here to see if we can pull up that summary of all of the cases, and you can actually read some of the highlighted cases, not all the cases that are brought up by the OIG Inspector General in these cases. So here's the outcomes of investigations from 2024. You've got 322 investigations completed. You've got substantiated Medicaid cases, 57. Substantiated child care cases, 1. And when it comes to the estimated provider overpayments, $26.4 million. So you've, again, got, that's like $60+ million of established provider overpayments, according to the OIG. Attorney General Kwame Raoul, asked by our reporter Jim Talamonte of what's being done about this. Does the Attorney General go after and prosecute these types of crimes? And I'm just now noticing a small little audio issue with this. So give me 2 seconds here while I work to make sure you guys can hear it down the line.
Prosecute them. And we work with the OEIG. We work with Inspector General from the federal government, HHS. And so when a case is referred to us and we have the capacity to prosecute it, we prosecute. Some of the cases may go to the federal government for prosecution or other prosecutorial agencies, but prosecute them.
So the Attorney General says prosecute them, and we'll see from time to time. The Attorney General might put out something about prosecution against an elected official, for instance, in a small village somewhere. But it seems that when you look at child care fraud cases, at least when we've searched news headlines from years past, it seems like federal prosecutors are the ones that are really going after this. But when you've got the state's Inspector General looking into this issue and the child care assistance program funding, I mean, just an example of what they're able to find, and we'll pull this back up in the 2025 annual report. Mother failed to report marriage and cohabitation with children's father, resulting in child assistance program overpayments of $35,000. So that's just one particular case that they highlight. But again, when you had 3 substantiated, they only put 1 in there. I'd also like to see more information. And this is why my Freedom of Information Act request is important, because the OIG is only putting out brief snippets. What about the provider overpayments that there were? Because that's as well is important to highlight, because it's not just the provider overpayments cases where there were 6 and they had 3 substantiated. It's the beneficiary overpayments as well, where they had 6 cases brought forward, but only 2 were substantiated, with some being sent to be prosecuted. So obviously you've got a lot of concern about how your tax dollars are being used when it comes to these welfare programs. And it's not just the child care program that the IG is finding problems with cases being reported and investigated, and some overpayments and fraud. You've got SNAP overpayments as well that's being found by the OIG. Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday being asked about child care money, and he says that the state needs more of it.
Folks, we are not providing enough child care, even with all the resources that we've put, and I've significantly increased the amount of child care in the state. And this is at a moment when we're seeing the federal government take money away from child care. So I'm always frustrated by the inability to get to the ultimate goal that we have, which is universal preschool and universal child care. And that's ultimately what we're aiming at.
How do you pay for that, with the state constantly talking about having tight budgets despite increased spending every year under the Pritzker administration, which requires different types of tax and fee increases? State Representative Brad Halbrook said that the efforts to try to increase taxes on millionaires or other taxes is not going to work. People continue to leave. Here's Halbrook on the House floor yesterday.
The people have already voted. They've said no, and yet again, here we are. The Democrats are after a new income tax once again. Another session, another tax hike, another attempt to force through what the voters have already rejected. After watching families pack up and leave, after watching thousands of businesses leave, after losing nearly 100,000 people in just 1 year.
He went on to talk about how tax increases aren't going to work.
As the bleed out of Illinois continues, the majority party keeps treating the symptoms with higher taxes instead of fixing the disease. Respect the people who pay the bills. Respect the voters who have already answered this question. And let's stop pretending this next tax hike will save us, because it never has and it never will.
We'll keep you posted on the ongoing investigation of, obviously now founded child care overpayments and fraud, and how that's being investigated and where those cases are. Can we get some information from the departments that handle this, and actual substantive information to see, where this is tripping up? Is it these providers? What's the fraud that's happening? Is it they're saying they have kids that they don't really have kids for? Is the money being used for politics, or how's this being played out exactly? All right, it is Illinois in Focus Daily, right here with the Center Square. That's all I got for you guys on this Wednesday. Tons to follow today, so be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get headlines at thecentersquare.com. Tons of stuff there that we just can't touch every morning. So you'll find stuff about the U.S. Supreme Courts. You'll find stuff about state of Illinois, Washington, D.C., international stuff that's happening. So go to thecentersquare.com. I got to get out of here. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more Illinois in Focus Daily, only with the Center Square.